Hello and welcome back to the online family program coming to you from the Sunshine Coast Health Center. So this is week 3 in a 4-part series about emotional regulation. So I wanted to talk this week about what can help us to regulate our emotions. And one of the things is recognizing what our emotion is. Now, this isn't 100% necessary. We can change the way we feel without actually labeling the feeling. However, if we want to change the way we feel by accepting the feeling and then changing it, we need to know what the feeling is. So I'll give you an example. So imagine that I'm somebody who's quite shy and I'm getting really nervous about an upcoming social event. And I don't want to go because I'm so shy and nervous about it. But I realize that it's important that I go, and so I talk myself through it. I use a bit of compassionate self-talk, and I say things like, you're going to be okay, and just go. It's good for you. So I really encourage myself to go. And by doing this, I'm building up my strength in this context against that fear, right? So on the opposite end of things, if I were to fall into that fear and not go to the social event, my fear in social situations would actually probably grow. And this is actually how social anxiety can grow, and sometimes, in some cases, it can even lead to agoraphobia. So it's very important that we sometimes learn what our emotions are and learn to accept them and move through them anyways. So that's something that can be very helpful. Another thing that can be really helpful in learning to regulate our emotions is something called mindfulness. So probably many of you have heard of what mindfulness is, but basically what it is it's bringing ourselves into the here and now. So oftentimes when we're feeling upset or angry or worried or any of those kinds of things, it's because we're not in the here and now. Maybe we're thinking about something that happened in the past that we can't change, but we're dwelling on that and we're upset about it. Or maybe we're worried about something that could potentially happen in the future. So we're pining away or whatever it is that we're doing, but we're not in the here and now. And so in those circumstances, a good way to regulate our emotions is to bring ourselves back into the here and now by appreciating what is here in this moment, your surroundings, even your thoughts and feelings, as long as you're not hooking into them or judging them. That can be very, very mindful. And being mindful can really help with getting some perspective on your problems and issues as well. So recognizing and accepting our emotions is helpful. And another thing that's really helpful is understanding what our emotions are. And that is information. So we are getting tons of information all the time from our senses, and we're having thoughts and we're having emotions, and we need to take all of this into account to make good decisions. So Marsha Linehan, who's a very famous psychologist, she developed what's called dialectical behavior therapy. And she first developed this for people struggling with borderline personality disorder. And one of the defining features of borderline personality disorder is great difficulty with emotional self-regulation. So one of the tactics that she came up with is called Wise Mind. So Wise Mind is using a very good balance between your logical mind and your emotional mind, and not letting one of them to cloud out the other. So this is something that is also really helpful to regulate our emotions. So next week I want to talk about the do's and don'ts of emotional self-regulation. So please join me then.